Hi everyone, so here I am back with yet another one of my vintage telephones from my collection. Now this one is a British classic. It's the iconic General Post Office 746 telephone. Now there were two models in the 700 series of this style. There was the earlier 706 and then the later 746 like you see here. Now both phones were pretty much generally the same. There were just some external design changes and internal differences between the two, but in general they were both the same really. So the 700 series came out in the late 1950s and ran right up until the mid 1980s. So you know they had quite a long production run. They were very much a commonplace in British homes throughout that time period. They're available in several colours. You could get them of course in black, which was standard, and then there was ivory like you see here. Then there was two-tone grey, two-tone green, red, blue and yellow. And then in the later years, in about 1982, they introduced a brown model. So, you know, you could get them in many different colours of that time period. Although, depending on what the engineer had in his van at the time, was what you had to choose from. So, you know, even though the colours were available, they may not have been accessible to you. So, things weren't as easily accessible in those days as they are now. And of course, in those days, you didn't own your telephone. You rented it from the post office, which is why they were called GPO. So, you know, you couldn't own these things. They were hardwired to the wall, unlike now where you can find them second-hand on eBay. Or modern phones, you can just buy them. But you couldn't buy them back then because it was a government-based thing to have a telephone. But anyway, all that said, droning on as usual, you know me. Let's have a look at the phone. So if I zoom into the number card here, it has its original number card. It says Fire Police Ambulance dial 999 and dial 100 for the operator. And the number on there is 01-205-9445. Now, according to the GPO Collectors Group on Facebook, apparently that is a Colindale number. Colindale is in northwest London, apparently. So this is originally a London telephone, so that's cool to know. If I zoom out slightly, we can see the dial. Now this one being from 1973, by this time they were on the all-figure dial-in. There was no letters in numbers by this time, so they took away the alphanumeric bezel like the 706 had. Because on the 706 there would have been numbers and letters around the dial here. But by this point they've done away with the letters, so they just put the numbers on the dial backplate there. So, the dial has a nice sound to it, and a nice return speed. Very good quality dial. In the later years, in about 1977 onwards, they started putting more plastic cogs and a plastic governor and more plastic parts inside the dial, which made them louder and not as smooth. But that's a very nice dial. So zooming back out here, we can see around the telephone. So what's really nice about this phone is, of course, it being ivory. Generally, ivory telephones lose their colour over time. They go like a dirty nicotine yellow. But this one has kept its colour. Which brings me on to my next point, is that the icing on the cake with this phone is that it's entirely original. All the components of this phone's dated 73, which is what the date is on the base. This is a 1973 GPO 746. The only thing that's been changed on it, which I did myself, was I changed the transmitter from the carbon type to an electronic type, because I am actually going to use this telephone, so I decided to get the better crisp sound quality from an electronic mic than a carbon type. So of course the line cord has been replaced due to the fact that the old one won't work on the new BT system that we have today, so unfortunately that had to go. So if I show you underneath the phone, you can see here there's the lovely dual gong bells. So it's 746, made by the manufacturer GEN, and 73 is the year it was made there. And you can just see that it says 1A. I believe that's the wiring diagram specification, that's how the phone is wired. And there it says Post Office Authorised Release, so that was stamped on there when this was originally rented. You can see all the feet are intact, which is good. You see around the back of the phone there's the carrying handle and the little holes where the resonation from the bell will escape, as well as underneath there. And the handset card is in great shape, as you can see. There's no tangles or tears or stretchiness to it if it's like stretched out like that. So it's just in really good condition, this phone. Of course the matching line cord there. And that screw you undo to release the casing, so you can access the internals. So here's the handset. The 706 and 746 both have the same handset. It's a very nice weighty handset. It's a very nice thing to have a phone call conversation with a phone like this. It just feels right. I don't know how to describe it. So there's the receiver and there's the transmitter. And as you can see on here, there's the switch hooks. And it has the Mark II type casing with the little shelf here. The earlier 746s had a continuous slope on the cradle here, and they introduced this bump part here to stop the handset from sliding forward when it's on hook. So I think that's all there is to say on it. I think I've droned on long enough now. So I'll give you a dialing out demonstration and then finally a ringing demonstration, which will conclude this video. So there's the dialing tone. So there you go. So finally here I will give you that ringing demonstration and you'll be able to hear the lovely loud GPO 700 series bells. They have such a great sound to them. So bear with me a second and I'll call home here. So here goes. So there you go. Gone to answer phone there. Oh no, somebody's answered. Never mind, there's other people in the house, so someone's probably obviously heard the phone ringing and answered it. I should have let them know before I decided to make the video. So anyway, a bit of entertainment at the end there. But yes, lovely, crisp GPO bells there. When you hear those bells, it just makes you think what went wrong. Like, you know, what happened. That's where progression should have stopped. Anyway, so that concludes this video. So I hope you enjoyed. And I hope you enjoyed my new format here with the camera on the tripod. I think it's better than having the camera wobbling about all over the place. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.